Hi guys, welcome back to iFashi. Today's video I'll be showing you guys how to cut this asymmetric hem corset top. The hem of this top is the beauty of this top, so let's get started. First, we have our drafting pattern paper. I put it on fold because I'll be opening it up later when I'm done. So I'll be drawing my starting point first, so that all the measurements will be taken from there. This line will serve as my shoulder line. So after drawing that line, the next thing I'll do is to take my shoulder measurement on that line divided by 2. I have 8 because my shoulder is 16. And then I'll come down by 1 inch or 0.75, depends on how slant you want your shoulder slope to be. Now, after taking that shoulder slope, the next thing I'll take is my measurement downwards. From my shoulder to my bust point, I have 10.5. From my shoulder to under bust, I have 13.5. And then my waist line is 17. So I will retake all those measurements on another line to get a straight line, and that's what I'm doing now. After drawing these straight lines out, I will go ahead and label them so that we'll know what each line is for. Now, the next thing is to go up on our bust point by 2 inches to get our chest point, where the armhole will stop. So after taking this chest point, I would take a straight line back up to my shoulder slope, where we'll be doing our armhole curve. Now after that, the next thing we will take is our neck measurement, our round neck measurement. To get your accurate neck measurement, you divide your bust by 16 and add 1 to your answer. That's how I got 3.3 that I used. Now after taking the neck measurement, the next thing is to divide what I have on this straight line by 2 and take 0.5 inwards on the middle point. That's where I will take my curve through. Then I'll take my bust measurement on the bust point and on this chest line so that I'll know where the armhole curve will start from. And that's what I'm doing right now. After that, the next thing we'll take now is the hip measurement, the hip line measurement. I'll go downwards from my waistline by 9 inches to get my hip line measurement, and I will mark a straight line on that spot. And then from that hip line, after labeling it, we'll go down again by 4 or 5 inches, depends on how long you want this top to be. I took 4 inches and I went downwards and I marked a straight line. After doing that, the next thing I'm doing now is to take my nipple to nipple measurement, which is our bust span measurement. I took 4 because my bust span measurement is 8, and I mark a straight line downwards from my bust line to the hem of the top. Now we're going to take our dart on these measurements. I used 1.5 inches for the dart, starting from the under bust down to the hip line. And then I'll come down by 1 inch under the bust line and then get my dart curve from there. Now after doing this, I'll take my side bust dart. To get the side bust dart, this is the difference between your front half length measurement and your back half length measurement. My front half length measurement is 17 and my back is 15.5. So I came down under the bust line by 1.5. That's the difference, and then we are cutting it off. So that's why I shaded it. Now the next thing I will do is to go upwards from my bust line by 3 inches. That will serve as the over bust point. Now on this over bust point, I would extend my dart line upwards so that I can take my darts from there as well. I'll go outwards by 0.5 inches on both sides, and I will use my ruler. You can use a curve rule or a straight rule to connect your darts from there. Now after connecting that dart, I'll extend this. I'll come down on that same over bust line by 1 inch and then extend this line by 0.5 and connect it to that 1 inch I went down with. As you can see on the video, watch it carefully if you do not understand. That will draft out our first cup, the upper part of our first cup. Now from that curve, from that end, you connect down to your under bust line. That would give us our cup. Now to get the second cup, I would divide what I have on my armhole line by 2, mark the midpoint, and then come down on that midpoint by 0.5, and then I'll create another line on that spot where I would connect my cup to. This other that we have not connected is now what we will now connect to that line that we just made. Then we'll also connect from there down to the underbust line to bring out the shape of our second cup. As you see in the video, just watch closely, you understand. It's very, very simple. Now after doing that, on our shoulder slope, we'll come inwards by 2 inches because the sleeve of this dress is a Queen Anne neckline, very slim sleeve. So this will serve as our yoke. I came in by 2 inches and connected it down to these other darts on the second cup. Now the next thing I'll do is to extend these lines, the hip and waist and bust line, under bust lines, extend it out, then start taking my measurements from there. Divide your measurements by 4. So I'm dividing my waist and hip measurement by 4, and then I would replace these darts on the middle because we will cut it out. So replace it after taking your measurements. Now at this point, I'm taking my bust measurements on the bust line and on the chest line as well, on the over bust line as well, because all of that upper part will have the bust measurement, and then I'll connect it to the waist measurements. Now I joined my paper because the hip line of this top is extended a bit, so I joined the paper to make it enough. Then I added 2 inches to my hip measurements because the hip is not tight on this, the hip of this top is not tight. So I came out, after taking my hip measurements, I came out by extra 2 inches to curve to my waistline. And then after doing that, I'll cut out this dart line, the side bust dart, and also cut this dart on the middle so that it will be easy for me to close my side darts. That's what I'm doing on the video. After closing the side bust darts, you take your ruler and your marker or your pencil, what you're using to draft, and correct your lines, because after closing the darts, your lines will shift. Also ensure to tape it down or pin it down so that it doesn't start moving about. Now after taping down and correcting the lines, the next thing I will do to snatch my waist, I'll come inwards on the waistline by 1 inch and then trace it backwards to outwards to those lines that we made earlier. As you see me doing, I just came in on the waistline by 1 inch to make it snatched, and then I connected the lines back. Now we'll just go ahead and cut. Like I said earlier, it's a very, very simple process. Join your paper if your paper is not enough for the length of and the width of the top, and then cut. After cutting out the cups and the yoke and cutting off the darts, I'll just go ahead and pin it down and tape it also for it not to move, and then show you guys to see before we will start taking the asymmetric hem of the top. That is why I folded it earlier. I've had to put the paper on fold because we'll need to open it out to cut the hem of the top, which is the most important part of this tutorial. Now after opening the paper up and extending my lines, on this side of the paper where I have my lines and labels visible, I'll come down on the dart there by 5 inches, as you can see. Then I'll make a mark on that 5 inches, and then I also come down to the last line of the dress by 1 inch, then connect it to that 5 I made earlier. Now on this hip line, I'll also come down. Sorry, this part did not show. I wasn't aware that this part is cut off on the camera. I came down by 1 inch under the hip line because I'll then connect it to these 5 inches I marked earlier to give me that curve on this side of the top. Now after doing this part, we would go to the other part of the paper. On that other side, I would also go upwards by 1 inch. Depends on how high you want the other side to be. You can go up by 0.5 or 0.75. I used 0.75, not exactly 1 inch. I made a mark there, and then I connected it down to this line I made earlier. Just watch the video closely. I went up on my hip line on the other side. I connected it with a straight ruler down to this line, and then we'll go ahead and cut it out. It is very, very simple, guys. Like I said earlier, remember to pin your paper or tape it down, because we joined paper for this tutorial. So watch closely how I'm cutting. I cut down from the other hip line that I went up, and I came to this hip line that I went down, and then I cut off the down part. That is what will give us the shape on the down part of this top. We are done with this tutorial, guys. Very, very simple. Remember to subscribe and like this video if you haven't done that already. Here's the yoke of the top. Here's the cup part that we drafted out that you use to cover your bra cup, and then this is the full view of the top. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.